Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. I was listening to some news around Kyrsten Sinema and how she's blocking many of the, or maybe one of the biggest blockers of the big Build Back Better part of what they're trying to get passed. And I thought, well, we should look at her chart, right, and see what's going on with her chart. Perhaps why she is having this, why she's being so obstructionist. And the other interesting thing about her is she actually started as quite the progressive, and now she's acting like a Republican, quite frankly. So she is in Arizona, a state that was kind of leaning towards the blue with Mark Kelly winning. And she is, of course, a Democrat, but she's not acting like one. So I thought we'd take a look and see what's going on. And we're lucky enough to actually have an accurate birth time on Kyrsten Sinema. I got it out of Astro Data Bank, and I think it's AA rated. So let's take a look. We'll share my screen here, and we'll take a look at Kyrsten, and then perhaps see a couple of other things about her. I did do her numbers. I don't have it set up where you can see how I did her numbers, but I can talk about it as the information comes up. So first of all, Kyrsten Sinema was born July 12, 1976. She is a Cancer sun, right up here. Her Mercury is in Cancer as well, as is her Ceres, her Venus. So that's a lot of Cancer. So that generally means she has a lot of sensitivity. But like most Cancers, when she feels attacked, she will go inside of herself and go in her shell and not come out until she's good and ready to do it. So confronting her may not be as fruitful as perhaps persuading her via her sensitivities for things that Cancer generally are sensitive to. The rights of women, the rights of children, the rights of families. And it seems almost antithetical to what she seems to be blocking, which would help many families and many women and many children. It is a liberal, and they're trying to do a new deal, right? A reboot, a whole reorientation of what the United States stands for. So we have somebody with a Libra Ascendant. A Libra Ascendant would generally make her quite attractive, and she's quite attractive woman. She tends to wear a lot of bright colors, florals and different things. She likes to show off her figure. She's not afraid to show her arms. So she likes to show off her womanly assets. And she does have Venus in Cancer up there in that 10th house. And, Venus in Cancer tends to be, womanly. There's a womanly figure there, right? However, all of her Cancer is disposited by this moon in Aquarius. Now, you might say, well, with the moon in Aquarius and all that Cancer up in the 10th house, wouldn't she be a champion for women and children? And wouldn't she be a champion for all those things? Well, you would think so. You would think so. Except, and the moon, and beyond that, the moon is in the 4th house, which is the house that it's most comfortable in, right? The moon, Cancer's house. But at the core of that fourth house, cusp of that fourth house is in Capricorn, which is much more the traditional sort of family upbringing. And the moon in Aquarius can be where we are frozen. Aquarius is associated with post-traumatic stress disorder and trauma. When you see a moon in Aquarius, you know, oftentimes people might say moon in Aquarius are aloof. They don't show their feelings, or they mentalize their feelings. Well, those are things that happen when you know, somebody undergoes a trauma. They dissociate from the trauma. They compartmentalize the trauma. So there is this sense that it's very possible that Cancer energy is sort of locked up in this Aquarius moon and doesn't quite allow it to express itself in the way you would imagine Cancer would. Now, the Aquarius moon can also make you very open to humanitarian endeavor. It's a humanitarian sign. It is in a non-traumatic sense. It can be a moon that connects with the sense of, you know, everybody deserves a chance, you know, those humanitarian Aquarian ideals. And so the aloofness comes from not particularly being connected to personal feelings as much as care and concern for the collective and what's best for society. You can have that with an Aquarius moon as well. And you can have them simultaneously. It just depends. A lot of things, I think, depend on outside pressures that come at us, and it's our response to those outside pressures that determine which side of the expression of the moon are we gonna express. Do we express that that more sort of positive, life affirming energy of you know, caring and being humanitarian, or do we dissociate from the trauma? So there's definitely an issue here, made even more so by the fact that this moon in her chart is opposite Saturn. Saturn and the moon in a chart as a planetary pair will indicate the relationship of your parents. Oppositions are oppositional, and there's a lot of tension. Now, I don't know anything about her personal life or her parents, but from her chart, there is a possibility that there was a lot of tension in her home around between her mother and father, or between her parents, or whoever acted as parents for her. That taken into consideration with the fact that both Saturn and the moon are square the nodes. The nodes of the moon is our emotional evolution to the moon. She has a south node in Taurus, and a south node in Taurus can be very conscious of money. They could have had past lifetimes where they starved to death because they're in her case, seventh house, her partner didn't take care of her, or Aries on that cusp, she married a soldier who never came back, and she starved to death, right? Something like that. I mean, that's just a possible scenario, but that's the energy. It's like almost like she feels like she has to hold on to something to survive. And of course, with Chiron there, that brings up the deep-seated wound around that. And so that is the past she's coming from. And Taurus south nodes don't like to let go. Her north node is in Scorpio. Her north node is in the sign of transformation. Conjunct that north node is Uranus. Sudden, out of nowhere shocks. Oftentimes, when you have Uranus conjunct the north node, it is these shocking things that happen to you that create a realization, perhaps, of what direction you need to go in, what you need to let go of. But she has these squares, and it is a grand fixed square that she has. And those are very old emotional patterns, very, very old emotional patterns. The resolution node for her moon, the moon is a skip step in your emotional maturity. The direction that she needs to go with her feelings and her emotions is in the future, is in the north node. So she needs to move those feelings of that Aquarius moon in the direction of that Scorpio. And Scorpio is about letting go. Scorpio is about healing. Scorpio is about melting the ice. She has a frozen emotional body. That Scorpio is about melting the ice. And because Uranus is there, that can happen in an instant. That can happen suddenly because of something, some fated event perhaps, or something outside of herself. Now that's the moon. Saturn is also square the nodes, the resolution node being south node. Saturn is also, this is emotional maturity, and this is actual maturity, like taking your place, and issues with father. And so she would perhaps, or issues with taking responsibility for yourself. It's very possible with this setup, she does not feel like she can work on her own, that she needs a partner, and perhaps that partner is a person or the organization or the donor or whatever that's helping support her, and is promising her something, a good job, or more political power because of their money. This woman is an ambitious woman. Saturn in Leo is somebody who wants to lead, and she has a lot of that Cancer energy, and she has it all in the 10th house, which is the house of ambition. So she has all those things, but her evolutionary path is one of striking out on her own, doing her own thing in service of others, and an ability to let go of some of these very old and deep issues. So this is just an overall look at her chart. She has the ruler of her chart, Venus, in an opposition to Pluto right now. Let's take a look at, let me see, is this it? This is the lunar eclipse that just happened. Is this what I want to look at? Oh, wait a minute. This hasn't happened yet. This hasn't happened. This is happening on the 19th. So we can look at this, I think, to see what's going on in her chart. So what's happening is Uranus, she's had her Uranus return. She probably had her Uranus return back in maybe 2019. or 2018. I'm not sure. I didn't look at that. Her Uranus is at 3. Uranus is now at 12 in opposition. But it has gone over her south node. So her nodes have been activated. When your nodes get activated, especially by a planet like Uranus, who will only ever go over that point once. I mean, it may go over it 3 times in its transit through Taurus. I don't know how many times it hit that, but it is a once in a lifetime aspect. And because it takes 84 years for Uranus to go around the zodiac. So if you get to your Uranus return, you're 84 years old, you don't get another chance for Uranus to go around the zodiac again. Maybe just a little bit. So this is setting things up. Now, Uranus and Mars are in opposition. So this is vehement opposition. There's a lot of tension here across her nodes on a lunar eclipse, which is very, very potent, even if it wasn't on your nodes. But so she's a fade. So we have a faded player here. There's a player in whatever it is that so she has, with her chart and her life, become a focus of the type of change, the breaking of the frozen emotional body of the feminine, because she's coming in as a woman in this incarnation. So in a way, she's a little bit of an antithesis of what you would think a woman, a democratic, Cancer, progressive woman would do. So there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. And that it could be a person, right? It could be, like I said, the money that backs her. But in her, in view of her experience, it is a time of awakening, quite frankly. And at the same time, here's Saturn sitting on her moon, testing her. Which way are you going to go, Kyrsten? Which way are you going to go? If we look at the solar eclipse that's happening on the 4th of December, which is a new moon solar eclipse. It's a new moon, so it's a solar eclipse, but it's at the south node of the moon. And so it's really about a let go. But here we have that new moon, which is an eclipse, conjunct her Neptune. Her Neptune in the sky, which is moving through her 6th house of work, service, is trine her sun. Neptune is very powerful, and when it is at work on somebody's chart, the energy of the masses, it's like a great, it's a tsunami. It's a tsunami of energy. And being sort of expressed through this woman with Mars here in Scorpio, in an opposition to her Jupiter. So we have a grand trine going on, which is greatly powerful and emotional. And then opposing her Jupiter in her chart. This seems to me, and another point here is Saturn is opposite Saturn. So it's her Saturn opposition from her Saturn return, right? So it's the opposition of her first Saturn return. And her first Saturn return, let's see, where is her Saturn? I don't know why I can't find it. Oh, there it is. Okay, some Leo is, of course, opposite. Saturn in Leo, like I said, is the leader. And perhaps she is showing her leadership in this way. Unfortunately, it's through obstruction and holding on to the old way, South Node in Aquarius, instead of being open to the change that is necessary to bring ease and comfort to people. So I think that she also has, goodness gracious, she also has Jupiter square her Jupiter. So this woman's chart is lit up. And so what I would suggest to people is, when thinking about her, I think we need to really send light and love to her, because that's what she needs. She's a little crab stuck in her shell who doesn't want to come out for whatever reason. There are some deep emotional things here that it's maybe taking the whole like United States progressive movement, or anybody who wants to see change into a more peaceable society where we take care of the planet and take care of one another. Instead of like saying, oh, Kyrsten, what's wrong with you? Let's just send her love and see what happens. I think that's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to do a little meditation and send Kyrsten love. Oh, gosh. And I've always kind of liked her, actually. Surprised that this is where it came to, but she has Mars in Virgo. And Mars in Virgo really does want to help people. And the ruler of her chart, Venus in Cancer, being opposed by Pluto and opposed by the United States Pluto, kind of makes her a focal energy for the change and the shift that needs to happen. So what I would say is that whatever it is that would help her to heal will help us to heal at this time. Because people are in these situations and souls are in these situations. We have AOC doing her thing. We have Sinema doing her thing. We have Biden doing his thing. We have Trump and his people doing their thing. But because they're the one we're seeing, right? They're the ones that are like holding all the cards. I think it's important to look at the possible energy dynamics that are at work. And what I would say about Kyrsten Sinema is that she is in for a big shift. And I don't exactly know what that means specifically. But I do know that she is being tested. And we have Pluto making a trine to that Saturn. So this is kind of her soul testing herself. And we have Saturn square her nodes. Not exactly, but near exact. The resolution node for Saturn here is her north node. And this is about creating the change and developing the structures that are going to support progressive change. And yet she's blocking that. So what is that? Well, that says to me that that's her south node. That's her south node. That's the block. And what's going to happen with these these full moons, the full moon, and then the new moon was actually the new moon in Scorpio, which I don't think I have up. It was right on her north node. So big changes here. Big changes for her. And as she goes, so will go the country to a certain extent. So very interesting. Very interesting. As far as her numerology, I did do her numerology. It's right here. And I guess I can hold it up. She has a 33-6 soul vibration. 33-6 is a master number. So master numbers are often more evolved souls, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're an evolved soul. But it can mean that you're held up to a higher standard. And that 33/6 is the 7 of Wands. And it is in Netzach, which is associated with Venus. And remember, her Venus is at 28 degrees of Cancer, opposite the Pluto of the United States and the transiting Pluto, which is going to be making a conjunction. So she is part of the Pluto return. Her quiescent, her outer personality, is a 32/5. 32/5 is the path and the shadow of the United States. So she can express that. She can express the shadow. She can express the healing if she wants to, if her soul chooses to. Her expression here, 6511, that's a Capricorn vibration. And we have Pluto and Capricorn opposing that Venus, which is connected to her soul. Her path of life, which is something that she's learning in this lifetime, is the 2 of Cups, relating on an equal level. That's her lesson. And because it's a 6, it has to do with responsibility. What's your responsibility, Kyrsten? Who is your responsibility to? Her shadow is a 43/7. There it is right there, 43/7. You get the shadow by taking the first name, adding it all up, which in her case is a 31/4, and then you add the day of birth, which in her case is the 12th. She's born the 12th of July. And a 43/7 shadow, first of all, it's the 3 of Cups. It's associated with Bina in the Kabbalah, and the planet Saturn, which is square her nodes. So if she could turn around and do what was right, then I think she could be a powerful force for good. If she doesn't do that, she will lose the opportunity to use the power for good, and perhaps not live up to the potential of her chart. our souls want us to, and I'm just, this is my point of view. There could be another point of view. Somebody else may totally agree with what she's doing and might be able to see it in a chart. I don't see it. So I just thought I would kind of do that with you. She is actually, as of her birthday in 2021, she moved into a 24/6 vibration, which is the Queen of Wands. So there's a certain amount of sense of authority that she feels she has. That's Saturn in Libra, right? That's Saturn in Libra. But that Saturn, in a way, is her shadow. And so that Saturn in a chart is often father, moon, mother. So again, I think we can go back to, at least in this lifetime, might be reflected in the relationship between her parents and how she was affected by that, playing out now in this dynamic. So there's always a personal, right? And there's a public. And if you're in a position of power, your personal issue becomes a public issue. So it's a breaking free from the authority of the father, perhaps. And with her shadow in Bina, if she were to, which is divine feminine, if she was to embody that, truly embody that through action, then she could be a real force for good, I think. Okay, well, that's what I want to say. I hope you enjoyed that. That was fun. Like and subscribe if you like the way I read a chart. You can have your chart read by me. I do it professionally. That's how I put a roof over my head and food in my mouth. And I do it with the Kabbalah as well. I can do it with the Numerology and Kabbalah. It's a great reading. Most people really enjoy it. And I think everyone should get one. It certainly changed my life when I had my first one. All right, guys, take care. Much love. And I'm going to be doing a little conversation with another friend of mine. And kind of like I've been doing with Denise, high tea with Denise. I think I might want to do a series with this friend of mine. She's very interesting young lady. I've known her since she was about 15. So we do have a history. And I know about her life because she's been a personal friend of mine. But I think she has a very interesting story to tell. And I think that we can maybe talk about her story and what she is, where her energy, where she's putting her energy in relation to perhaps her chart. Maybe she'll let us share her chart with us, and we can look at that. We'll see. I don't know if she wants to be that divulging, but well, she's got a podcast and she talks about her life on that. So I think she's somewhat of an open book. So, all right, guys, take care. Much love.